Since the early 1970s to date, Curitiba, capital of the state of Paraná, has learned to think about its future and to prepare for it, developing a culture of urban planning. Its practices show that good planning is still the best way to solve urban problems. Curitiba currently has 1,800,000 inhabitants with a per capita income of $7,825. The city answers for a GDP equivalent to $2.37 billion and is the hub of a metropolitan region formed by 26 municipalities in which over 3 million people live. However, anyone coming to Curitiba for the first time soon feels it is a different metropolis, which has managed to protect 77 million square meters of native forests. One part of them has been transformed in parks. The other is found in privately owned areas with preservation fostered by legislation. This way, the city can put up an impressive figure of 51.5 square meters of green area per inhabitant. A study recently undertaken showed that Curitiba's preserved forest areas capture 140 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare, a significant figure for an urban center. In addition to the forest remnants, parks, and squares, Curitiba has 300,000 trees planted along its street system. More shade, less heat, more carbon capture and sequestration, and more birds. The city also adopts other important environmental practices. Curitiba pioneered selective garbage collection in Brazil and in using shredded used tires to manufacture asphalt. In the city's public lighting system, energy-saving bulbs. In the industrial city of Curitiba, non-polluting industries comply with strict environmental legislation. And long before the world becoming concerned with global warming, Curitiba had already been planned to reduce carbon emissions, providing people with a transportation system that is, at the same time, comfortable, quick, efficient, and economic. Buses. It all started in 1966, when a master plan was drafted based on 3 strategic pillars: land use, street network, and public transport, structured in an integrated way, with the clear proposition of inducing the city's growth along the density generation axis, connecting the center of town to the less densely inhabited regions. The action symbol for the change was the implementation of the public transportation system in the early 70s. The north-south axis received dedicated lanes for the buses of the express lines, specifically designed for the system, which began operating in 1974 on the 20 kilometers of the north-south axis. On each side of the dedicated lane, one way and in opposite directions, the slow-moving traffic lanes. The streets parallel to the dedicated lanes, to the right and to the left of the axis, became fast-moving traffic lanes, both one-way and in opposite directions, outbound and inbound. Integration terminals to receive feeder lines coming in from the more outlying districts completed the integration of the system. Commerce and services next to homes. Less cars on the streets, more organized traffic, less pollution, more comfort, faster and more savings for users. Little by little, Curitibanos discovered that living close to bus routes was good. With a direction of growth defined, the city grew along the axis of the public transportation system. A system that won't stop evolving. The express buses gave way first to articulated buses, later to bi-articulated buses. Today, 160 of these giant buses, with capacity for 230 passengers each, travel on the 72 kilometers of dedicated lanes on the city's 5 main corridors. The city was complemented by new feeder lines and circular inter-district lines, which allow traveling between districts without having to go downtown, in addition to the direct lines, offering faster and more efficient trips. Tube stations increased even more the system's speed by enabling prepaid fares and bus floor level passenger boarding. Another fundamental characteristic of the transport system in Curitiba is the integrated fare. Paying a single fare, people can define their own route, moving all over town. A number of public services were decentralized and started to operate at the citizenship streets, located next to the terminals. Today, 45% of the city's population make use of the public transport system, but 70% of them do not go downtown. Shorter trips, less walking, average fleet age of a little over 5 years old, and daily emission control. All this represents less carbon in the atmosphere. The assessment shows a reduction in the emission of polluting gases. Currently, the system is integrated to 13 municipalities of the metropolitan region. Altogether, every day, close to 2,300,000 passengers use the nearly 2,000 buses that cover 480,000 kilometers at every 24 hours. At this point in time, the system is undergoing improvements such as staggering the positions of the bus floor level boarding stations, enabling overtaking and increasing usage capacity for the dedicated lanes. With the conclusion of the works for the ring road, which absorbed heavy traffic from a former federal highway that crossed the city, Curitiba gained a new urban way, which is also its sixth development axis. This is the Green Line, which embodies the same concepts in urban planning as the rest of the city, started back in 1970. Clear definition of the street system and harmonious integration of urban functions. Priority for public transport, providing a comfortable, fast, and efficient system. That's how urban planning works in Curitiba. At the service of the city's social and economic development and of the preservation of its environment.